I've made quite a number of chicken recipes, but there's one that I've never made before, and today is the day that I finally get to try it out. Let us make chicken schnitzel served with potato wedges, green salad, and a mushroom sauce. So for the ingredients, we're gonna need chicken breast, the mushrooms here, potatoes, salt, Portuguese chicken spice. I also have Raja all-in-one curry powder with garlic and onion powder, paprika, Raja flavorful mild curry powder, the eggs, 100 grams of flour, cucumbers, spring onions, bell peppers, red onions, garlic, some breadcrumbs right here, and I also have black peppercorns and Stafford's Dijon mustard. I'm going to start by making the potato wedges. Well, I'm just peeling my potatoes, later on cut them into the shape of potato wedges, boil them for a little bit, just say some 10 to 15 minutes, season them, then transfer to the oven for roasting. There are basically two methods by which you can actually make these. So that's one method that I've just explained. And then the other method is just to place them directly into the hot oil and then start frying them, but after you've cut them into the shape of potato wedges. So I prefer the method where I get to boil them up first and then roast them later on. I kind of feel like it just helps them absorb more of the seasoning better than when you are actually just going to dip them into the hot oil or roast them whilst you've just put seasoning in it. So the boiling is actually going to help in making sure they get to absorb the natural flavors of the spices and the rest of the seasoning that you're using when you're going to be boiling them. Moving on to the chicken, I'm going to start by slicing my chicken breast in half lengthwise because I want to make it a bit thinner in terms of thickness, because as you can see, this is quite thick. So this is just how we're going to do it. Split the chicken breast in half like that and then just open it flat. So this is called butterflying. You can see it actually looks like a little butterfly, right? The next step is probably the most exciting part about making this meal, and this is mechanically pounding the chicken using a steak hammer. So all this is going to do is to tenderize the chicken breast. I think I could say if you're really stressed out and you've got a whole lot of stuff going in your mind, this is probably going to make you feel a whole lot better after you're done doing it, because you're just letting all the stress get into the chicken breast as you're pounding it with a steak hammer. So remember, all this is doing is just making it more tender, because it's just going to thin the meat muscles and make them a bit tender and softer. Alright, so now I'm just going to take all of my seasoning. I've got the salt right here. Just a little bit of it goes a very long way. Always know that. And also bear in mind that also using quite a lot of different seasonings, so they always come with their own salt. Be very careful not to over salt your meat. So after the salt, getting into the rest of the seasoning. Try to season on both sides so that the seasoning actually gets to penetrate through both sides of the meat. Now that I'm done tenderizing my chicken, the next step is going to be me dipping the chicken breast into my seasoned flour and then the well-beaten egg and finally the breadcrumbs. So let's get straight into that. You need to make sure that your oil is hot, but not too hot, and then you drop in your first piece of the chicken breast. So this is shallow fat frying. I didn't have to put too much oil, because you just want also the chicken to just cook very slowly, to fry quite slowly, but at the same time also really get to cook through or allow the breadcrumbs to crisp. The oil doesn't have to be too hot at the same time, because you don't want the chicken to brown way too fast before it's actually cooked thoroughly. So make sure that you regulate the oil temperature and also the quantity of the oil altogether. I'm just going to allow this to cook on the bottom side for say about 3 minutes or so, and then flip it onto the other side. Always remember to clean your plate before you serve the food to your guests. Clean off any mess or any oil splashes or anything, because it really needs to look super professional and clean. All right. Chicken schnitzel is done. We've got to do a taste test. So it's got to be crisp on the outside. You can hear that, right? But very tender on the inside. So very crispy on the outside, but tender on the inside. Let's taste this.